I want some pie. Give me some pie. No, not that kind of pie. Pie charts. You know, every one of these companies that you swear loyalty to, the Microsofts, the Sonys of this world that you're rabid fans of, they don't care about you. They just want your money. They want a bigger piece of that pie. The pie chart, if you will, is just never enough for them with every sort of corporation. And this is really what's wrong with capitalism, is that it has an end goal. It has a point of no return where, you know, as companies get bigger and bigger and bigger and they swallow up other companies and they diversify and swallow up other opportunities that smaller companies or smaller individuals could have partaken in. You know, these corporations, they are never satisfied with having a good year, making as much money as they did last year or 10 years ago. You know, gone are the days when somebody could open a company and just make a good living year after year after year, maybe enough extra to hedge for inflation. But oh no, these companies need to make more and more and more money all the time to satisfy investors, because the stock market is a bastard. Let's get into that a little bit, shall we? Lately, we have heard, in the last week, we've heard, first a story came up that Sony, with their new PS5 Slim, they're going to be requiring you to have a one-time internet connection in order to connect your new detachable disk drive to the PS5 Slim. It's going to come without a disk drive, and then you can buy one optionally and attach it, but it needs an internet connection. And why is that? A lot of people are really worried about, you know, there's been a lot of controversy over this, because a lot of people are saying, so what? You've already got internet anyway, it's no big deal. But the real thing here is, it's not the idea of, you know, preservation, that you're not going to be able to maybe do this in 20 or 30 years when you try to set up a used PS5 or something. It's not that really bothers me. It's the fact that they can control what gets connected to that device, to that PS5. And it's like these manufacturers just overnight have just clued into the fact that, you know, they've always been wanting to control the software. They've been pushing more and more and more towards DRM with the software, controlling things and having, you know, de novo and, you know, that sort of thing to keep people from pirating and all that sort of thing. But they never really realized that they could control the hardware. Of course, when you buy a console, you're spending $500, $600, $700 on this console, right? And it usually comes with one controller, let's say. And, you know, for little Timmy down the street, when he comes over, you don't really need to have a really good controller for him, or for your little brother. You know, screw your little brother. You just pick up, you know, in the old days, a Mad Catz controller for like $15 and plug it in, right? Well, you know, Xbox just announced now that they are going to be cracking down on the types of devices that they allow to connect to their consoles. So both Sony and Xbox are doing this now, and this is DRM. Make no mistake, this is digital rights management at its worst. It's being applied to hardware now, and it's really, really frightening, because they want that pie. They want that delicious grandma's pie, right? They want more and more and more of the pie. And they want to dip now into the third-party manufacturers of accessories and take their bread and butter away. You know, all of these companies that look at something like 8-Bit Dough, for example. Now, Microsoft has said that they will be licensing third-party controllers and broadening their approach, but when they license something, when it's an official Xbox product, like the Razer Kishi or something like that, that's licensed to have the Xbox button on it and the button layouts of an Xbox controller, Razer has to pay Microsoft for that right. And so Microsoft is making money off that, and they want to expand that system, of course, but they are going to be cracking down on the types of third-party stuff that they are going to allow to connect to their Xbox. So now that these companies have discovered that they can actually control the hardware, they are going to take a bigger piece of the pie out of your wallet. Because what's the pie? The pie is you, my friend. And they are going to take a bigger piece of you. All of these companies, they don't care about you. They just want what's in your wallet. And, they've been nickel and diming us to death for years with things like Game Pass subscriptions, which, don't get me wrong, Game Pass is a pretty good service, all things considered, but that's $20 a month, at least here in Canada. And then you've got PlayStation Plus Premium, and that's another $20 a month. And things like Netflix and Hulu and all these other things. And if you're a content creator like me, maybe you've got subscriptions to the Adobe software, and all of these companies just want a piece of your pie, and it's getting out of hand. Now these big major companies, the Microsofts and the Sonys of the world, and I wouldn't put past Nintendo eventually to do the same thing, but these companies are taking away the bread and butter of these third-party companies now. All of these, these charging docks and the third-party controllers, arcade sticks, all of this stuff now is going to have to be officially licensed through Microsoft in order to be allowed to run on the system. And that is scary because that is anti-competitive. That's the type of thing that the FTC gets involved in. That's the kind of anti-protective, racketeering type stuff that the government is supposed to protect us from. And they are blocking an entire sector of the gaming industry, the third-party accessories. There are so many companies, not just from China, but from all over the world, that make accessories for all of these different video game devices that we know and love. And to see so many of them either be put out of business completely or have to now pay royalties to Microsoft for something. This is hardware, folks. Hardware should not have licensing. Well, it's fine to have licensing, but it should not have DRM. There should not be a point where, my TV can tell me that I'm not allowed to use a universal remote. Let's say the remote for my TV breaks and I go to Circuit City or Best Buy or something and I buy a universal remote and I bring it home and I program it and I point it at the TV and the TV says, sorry, this device is not allowed. Please see the manufacturer for further instructions. That is anti-competitive that I can't just do that. I'm absolutely shocked that there's not more of an outcry about this, because this is leading us down a really insidious path. For years they've been pushing the software side. They've been pushing to get rid of physical games because physical games give you, the consumer, the control over that software. You can, loan it to your buddy. You can sell it after you've used it. And they want to get rid of that entire secondary market for video games. But now they want to get rid of the third-party accessories manufacturers too, because they want the whole damn pie. I don't know about you, but that is starting to bother me just a little bit here, guys. I spend a lot of money on video games, and I'm not adverse to spending money on first-party controllers. I have 5 Xbox controllers. I love the Xbox controller. I probably personally wouldn't buy a third-party controller, but let's say 15, 20 years down the road, when Xbox controllers aren't being made anymore, or at least Xbox One or Xbox Series controllers, and I'm at a Value Village or a Goodwill, and I pick up a third-party controller because my controller's broken and I can't find a good controller anywhere, and this is the only option I have, and I bring it home and I connect it to my Xbox and it won't work. Stuff that previously did work, that for generation after generation after generation, starting with the NES, probably even before that with the Atari, there were third-party accessories. And, some of these bigger companies, like your 8-bit Does, will probably get the licensing just fine. to use the X inputs and have an Xbox button and that sort of thing. But mark my words, Sony's going to start doing exactly the same thing. I mean, they've been locking stuff down left, right, and center. They just released this, Portal device, and they've made sure that with the PlayStation Portal, you can't really do anything else with this thing except connect it to your PS5. It's a perfectly good, theoretically, Android device or something that could maybe operate on its own to some degree, run emulators or something like that. But it's just completely locked up. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments about physical hardware DRM, because this is really, really kind of freaking me out to see the kind of dystopian future that we're headed towards. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Stay classy.